It was 45. I had roughly 700 euro per customer in average. And now I have 9 customers and it's 6,200 euro per customer. So it's 9 times the revenue per customer, more revenue with fewer customers.
That was Damien Schreurs, intentionally reducing his number of clients from 45 down to 9, yet receiving 9 times the revenue per customer didn't come from his initial business plan. Nope, it came from almost losing everything. Damien spent years building a side hustle, testing it for free, negotiating time away from his full-time R&D engineering job, and running on minimal sleep trying to juggle it all. And when he finally went all in, he was confident. He had a plan, but the plan was wrong. He came within just one late invoice of bankruptcy. And it was a friend from his networking group, noticing that he was struggling, who pointed him towards what would become the way to turn it all around. This episode is about that whole arc. Use Damien's success and his hard-won lessons to fuel your own side hustle. He's the founder of EasyTECH. He provides IT training and coaching and is host of the Macpreneur podcast. I'm Joan Possevi, and this is Side Hustle Hero.
Thank you for having me, Joan.
Well, one of the things that prevents people from starting a side hustle is that they feel that they lack the necessary knowledge to actually run a business. Well, I understand that during the time that you were working your 9 to 5, you made a point of educating yourself about business. What did you feel that you needed to learn?
There's a big difference between theory and practice.
That right?
So I like to comfort myself with theory, right, to have the illusion of preparedness. But the reality is you're never fully prepared. It was 13 years before I started my business. I did a master in management. I'm the kind of person who prepares, can prepare very long, because I knew that one day I would have my own company. And so I did this master in management to learn in theory what is behind having a business. So I learned the basics of financial analysis. I learned the basic of marketing, of market research and business development and operations and so on.
So these were formal courses you were taking. This isn't just YouTube University.
It was a side learning because I was working a full-time job. And then two evenings and the Saturday morning. And I did that for 2 years. And then I got this master in management that I paid for myself, by the way. So my employer could have bought that for me.
Yes.
But with strings, obviously, strings attached.
Okay. So this way you had your freedom.
Exactly. But then what I did was more tactical. So I joined a non-profit organization, and there I started actually teaching, providing consulting services for free, right? It was pro bono. It was called Knowledge Exchange Centers. And so it's non-profits all around, all across Belgium. And the idea is the members go and learn new things, but also share the knowledge that they have.
Okay.
And that allowed me to basically live test being a teacher, being a consultant, going on site to people's homes and helping them with their computer, their printer, and so on.
And at this point, what were you doing for full-time work?
I was a research and development engineer for a Fortune 500 American company, but based in Luxembourg. So they had the second biggest research and development center in Luxembourg, more than 1,000 employees on site. So yes, it's in the tire manufacturing industry.
So you weren't doing much teaching at that point then in your full-time?
Actually, a little bit.
Okay.
I've always loved sharing my knowledge. And during my 18 years career, I always have been involved somehow in teaching. So in training. So either I was a training coordinator or I was training the newcomers.
Okay. All right. So you were no stranger to the training then. You mentioned that you were doing this pro bono at this nonprofit. You were doing it for free then. What were you getting back?
being a member of the nonprofit, I was able to take courses. So I was taking yoga courses, yoga classes. I did for a year and a half improv classes, which I really enjoyed.
Oh, fun.
And that was
That
really
must have
nice.
been nice, but frightening.
Yes, it's very frightening. But really, it's more the experience, right? The experience, also the joy of helping people. Again, we're talking about after work, and we're talking about
Yes.
evenings, weekends. And in the end, I was also able to help the nonprofit directly in their operation. So I became the webmaster for the website.
Of course
the
you did.
nonprofit. And I was taking care of packaging the newsletter. They were contributing the stories and the articles, but then I would package it and then I would deliver them via email. So I had actually set up their backend infrastructure, the IT infrastructure.
Nice. I do a lot of work with a nonprofit organization, have for many years. And when a new member comes along and they've got any sort of skills that can contribute, it's like, hey, how would you like to volunteer for this role? So I could totally see that. But when you came in volunteering to offer IT training and consulting services, do you remember what it was like that first time that you actually stood up in the front of the room and had to teach?
Yeah, it was actually the basics of the internet. Yeah, it was a small class. It was mostly adults. I really prefer teaching adults. I think it's a theme of your podcast. The realization that you have skills, that things that for you are natural and easy are not necessarily for others.
Yes.
And that basically anybody can help other people just by sharing their knowledge, their expertise. And it's really in my engineering job that I learned to be confident in front of an audience. Before that, it was really difficult.
What gave you the push to even do that? Presumably your full-time job and life in general was very full already. Why volunteer?
I think it must be the coming from my childhood and my parents, and especially my mother. So she had a private practice, but she was always volunteering and helping with the village activities, right? So
Okay.
she ingrained in me the idea of, being generous with your time, helping your community. And when I start something, I usually do it full on. Either I don't do something or I do it full on, right?
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
There's no middle ground with me.
I think we're kindred spirits there. You were upfront about your employer. You actually asked permission to run your business part-time alongside your regular job. At that point, were you confident to ask or fearful? How did you feel about actually doing that?
No, I was confident to ask because prior to that, I already had taken 2 part-time parental leaves. So in Luxembourg, we fathers are very lucky if we organize ourselves with our partner, as long as not both partners are out of work at the same time.
Yes.
Right. The fathers can take parental leave, so either 6 months full time, and we get from the government the minimum salary. So the government is financing us to take 6 months off with our children.
Wow. So that's not the employer. It's the government that's paying.
For the employer, nothing. The government who pays for that.
Okay.
But there is another scheme, and the other scheme is half-time parental leave. So 12 months where I work 50% for my employer, and half of my salary is then paid through the government, and it's basically half of the minimum salary. So I still got a pay cut.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But I worked part-time. I worked 50%.
Wow. So what did you actually say to your employer?
After the last parental leave, that obviously gave me the experience of working part-time.
Right.
And realizing that my department didn't crumble. And we tend to believe that maybe the company for which we work
Yes.
will miss us dearly and everything will fall apart. It's not the case. It's not the case. Especially when you're working for a very large company. You can leave at any time. It won't change much. But having that experience, I actually try to negotiate again a 50% part-time.
Ah, okay.
Right? I say, okay, can I work 50% and launch my company? And they said directly, no, there is no way. For some reason, they said, if you are a woman and you have a secretary position, you can have a half time. But if you are a man engineer, you cannot take half time.
Wow.
Thank you. Wow.
Yeah, right?
No, with 2013, not 1913 either.
Exactly. Yeah. So then you thought, okay, I'll ask for something else.
Yeah. So we kind of cut the thing in half. And then I think 70% was nice because it was 3 days and a half at work and a day and a half for my own business. And we decided that I would work Monday through Thursday noon. And then Thursday afternoon, Friday all day was for me for developing EasyTECH.
They must have loved you to be able to do that.
Yeah. So when I was working already half-time, I was doing more than half-time because I've always been super organized and I have systems and processes and checklists. And so I've always had this superpower of being able to an automation. I was, at the time, in this company, it was not very strict IT-wise, right? Nowadays, I could not have done what I was doing at the time. I could install any application that I wanted. So I installed like text expansion things, snippets, so to save a lot of time.
Yes.
And even when I was working 70% part-time, I was almost doing a full-time job in the 70%.
That's what I was thinking. So you're doing basically a full-time job anyway, plus your side hustle, which would have been more than a day and a half when you factor in everything about running a company. So what was the hardest part about running that side hustle alongside the full-time?
It was really the lack of sleep, actually. I was working on my business every day. But when I was going into my employer's office, I was going there by 8:30 a.m. So I would wake up at 5 and then 5:30 to 6:30, I was working on the business.
I see. Okay.
And so I was spending at least an hour in the morning, every morning, plus the evenings. That's also in the evening, I was also working on the business.
Yes.
And what was difficult was really to be diligent in separating the time for my employer and then for my own company.
Yes.
So this lasted 2.5 years. In 2.5 years, I only took one client call for my own company during work hours.
Right. Okay. It sounded like it must have been an emergency.
Yeah, and it was during lunchtime.
Oh, okay. All right. I wouldn't count that as employer time, but...
The thing is, what I did was I experimented, right? I ran different kinds of products and services, mostly services. And obviously, it was mostly on site at my clients' places. And that meant I could only deliver services on Thursday afternoon and Friday.
And at this point, when you're getting paid, who's your audience? Who's your client?
So at the moment, my clients are either private individuals or, again, it was a nonprofit that was organizing evening classes or adult classes.
Yes. The equivalent here might be at a community center where they offer a lot of evening and weekend courses that people like yourself can come in and teach. Okay. I'm a huge fan of those for testing your offering.
But also it was in my network or in my circle of friends.
Yes.
At the beginning, I was doing a lot of different things. So I knew I was good with IT stuff and computer stuff. So I tried these classes. In my classes, because it was all about Apple products, the student would ask me, do you know anyone who could come at my house to help me set up something? And I say, yes, I can do that as well.
Yes.
So that's how the Apple consulting business started through
Wow.
teaching. So the husband of a colleague of my wife
Okay.
had a real estate business, and actually he was flipping houses. And he realized, and so we're talking about between 2013 and 2016, realized that more and more people wanted to have good Wi-Fi in their house.
Okay.
And when he was buying an existing house, he wanted to make sure that for the new owners, they would have good Wi-Fi. So that's what I did. I realized that I could install on my Mac software to scan Wi-Fi signal strength.
Okay.
I would put a bunch of Wi-Fi routers in different rooms of the ruins. I was talking about a house completely torn apart. So I would put a few Wi-Fi routers, and then I would walk with my laptop
Yes.
and walk through rooms to map the Wi-Fi signal. And then afterwards, I would compile that, create a report, and tell it, okay, these are the places where you absolutely need to have a Ethernet exit, right? The owners of the house, they need to be able to put a Wi-Fi router in these locations to maximize the signal everywhere.
Wow. And how much were you charging for that report?
Not enough.
I know. Fair. Especially when you're starting. Yep.
He was a friend. So and I told him, look, it's the first time I'm going to do that. We talk about 80 euros, 50 euros, between 50 euros an hour. And I would say, look, I would see how much time it takes, and then I would charge you. And so I was doing that. And what else? Yeah, I had a friend of mine. Again, so that was the wife of a colleague from work.
Yes.
She was managing a private jet for her boss. So the private jet of her boss, she was using Excel to compile all the numbers to see the profitability and stuff like that. And she was spending 2 days or something like that just to prepare a report, a PowerPoint presentation every month.
Okay.
And so I came in and I did some Excel PowerPoint consulting. And after that, it took her an hour or two maximum per month by just creating the right formulas, creating pivot tables, creating a chart that would be linked between PowerPoint and Excel. So she only needed to update it in Excel, open the PowerPoint, move a few things around, and the PowerPoint would be ready.
And when you get results like that for a client, that's the perfect person to ask for referrals and a testimonial to help build your business and your credibility. But when you're starting out, we don't think of all these things.
No.
Well, let's talk about where you were when you decided to quit your full-time and actually go fully solo. Where were you financially in terms of a savings target or?
Initially, my plan for leaving my full-time job and really going full with EasyTECH was to generate as much revenue or half of the revenue that I would get from my own salary. And I realized that, first of all, I didn't have enough clients. But second, I also didn't have enough time in the week. Even if I had more clients, I could not serve them.
Okay.
Because I only had Thursday afternoon and Friday the whole day. So revenue was a direct correlation of how much time I can allocate during the week to the clients.
Yes.
So I changed tactic, or I changed the criteria, and I decided that I would need to have at least 18 months worth of expenses in the bank as savings.
Okay.
So that I could continue helping for the family, helping with the mortgage and the shopping and so on. So I didn't want that me starting a business put my family in financial problem. Yeah.
So that was the runway then. Save up enough money so that you had your expenses covered for 18 months. So you didn't have to have a drop of revenue coming in, that you were okay. And you could focus on the business. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. So I could afford not to pay myself a salary.
Yes. Yeah.
And I managed not to pay myself a salary for actually 24 months.
Okay.
So I made that money that I thought would last me only 18 months, last 2 years.
So you made it last, or you were dipping into other savings?
Yeah, I made it last. Yeah. I actually cut back my own expenses so that I could make the money money last longer.
Yes. Yeah, I did that with a turnaround project. It was a delicatessen that I bought, and basically any dollar of profit was going right back in to build up the business to the point where, okay, now I can quit my full-time job and then do this. But it took about a year, actually, before I was able to do that. It doesn't happen overnight. And where were you mentally? Were you 100% confident quitting your full-time at this point? Or was it more, damn, what was I thinking? A little bit of both, maybe.
Yeah, I was confident, but to be honest, I don't think I had the right plan.
Okay.
I was overconfident. I was overconfident on my plan.
Mm-hmm.
It was more hope strategy, right? It was the hope strategy versus the right tactical strategy.
Getting back to what you said about theory being different than reality sometimes.
Exactly. So again, in theory, when I ran the numbers, it worked.
Okay.
But what didn't happen was the growth in the number of clients that I needed to, at the rate that I needed it for properly surviving. So when I quit my job, I also joined business networking organization called BNI. So I still realized that I was overly dependent on private people, so private customers.
And people within your existing network?
And yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And I realized that, first of all, I would go once or twice to help them, but then they wouldn't call me before 2 or 3 years into it.
Yes.
Right? So I've had clients at the beginning in 2013, and those people would not call back in 2014, 2015, and maybe in 2016 they would call back, right?
Yep.
So I realized I needed many of those people, and those people would not buy a lot as well.
Yes.
Their needs were quite limited. Mm-hmm. And so I quickly realized, so that's why when I quit my job, I joined a business networking organization with the goal of actually switching from B2C to B2B.
Okay.
I wanted to have more business customers for the Apple consulting part of it, because I knew that there would be many more computers, but also there would be many more services to be delivered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that must have been a bit of a decision for you to make too, because BNI is not necessarily cheap as far as an expense.
No, it's not cheap, but for me, it was an investment. It was my marketing budget, actually, and prospecting budget.
Right.
Rather than run advertisements or stuff like that, or I don't know, sponsor a team.
Yeah, you're looking at a few grand a year, right? 1,500 euros, 2,000 euros.
Yes, exactly.
So that was going to be the majority of your marketing. Let's really give this a strong shot.
Exactly. So I had basically 2 return on investment. The first return on investment was I got back more than the money that I put in, not taking into account the time needed to attend the weekly networking meetings and stuff like that. Huh?
Yes.
And also, I became also part of the leadership team, obviously.
Yes, you go all in. Yep.
And so again, the history repeats itself. I put some IT structure in the group, in the chapter, the local chapter that didn't have, and so on and so forth. But that also showed people that I was serious and that I was competitive, that I was skilled, and they could trust me, right? So these kind of network organizations, they really rely on trust. Mm-hmm. These are trust engines, right? It doesn't matter how good you are. If nobody trusts you, they will not refer you to other people.
Right. And that trust takes time to build too. So I see that as a mistake some people make. They join some of these organizations. It's their first breakfast meeting. They're handing out their business cards and they think they're going to be flooded with business. That trust has to come first, and that takes time. And that was a wonderful position for you to be in to be able to demonstrate what you do.
Yeah, because it's easier. So there are businesses where it's very easy to understand what they do and to start referring them, right? Mm-hmm. If it's chocolatier, right? We had wine. People were selling wine.
Yeah.
Whenever something is tangible, it's very
Yes.
easy to understand what the other people do and
Yes.
to recommend them, to refer them. But consulting is very hard to really understand. Even after 2 years of BNI, I still had people thinking that I was selling iPhones. I
Gosh.
said, no, I don't. I'm not an iPhone seller.
But that's good information, because then there's probably other people out there listening or reading your message thinking, oh, this guy sells iPhones. So that was good information to have. What do I need to tweak? Yeah.
Yeah. But the return was, I got some business. But also I was able to actually switch and got 80% of my clients being B2B rather than B2C.
Oh, okay.
And that was the biggest gain, because I actually tripled the revenue, because I had clients who were asking me to come and help them many more times during the year.
Yes.
Right? So that's when I started realizing that revenue or even profit is not necessarily the best metric for my kind of business. In my line of work is the revenue per customer, the yearly revenue per customer, that is the best metric.
Okay.
And as soon as I figured out that metric, that's when I started making better business decisions.
Yes.
And nowadays, so I track the two things: active customers and average yearly revenue per customer.
And how do you define an active customer?
An active customer is a person or company that I invoiced at least once during the year.
Okay. All right.
They purchase a service from me
Yes.
at least once during the year. But to really simplify, I have active customers
Yes.
and how much money each customer gives me on a yearly basis.
Yes.
I went from 48 to 9 active customers. So I have fewer customers. I've doubled the whole revenue.
Yes.
So the overall revenue has been doubled, and I divided the number of customers. But now I know what is the best customer for me, right? What is the ideal customer for me?
Yes.
And I'm able to say no to things and say yes, or to ask my network or to prospects to find those customers. And I prefer to have fewer customers. It's easier to manage as well.
Yeah. But you can do that now because you've got the data to back it up, that this is what is worth my time. So once you determined where you needed to pay attention to as far as the customers that you wanted to attract, you went from having 48 clients down to 9. What happened to your revenues?
I just double checked, Joanne, and it was 45.
45, okay.
45, I had roughly 700 euro per customer in average. And now I have 9 customers and it's 6,200 euro per customer. So it's 9 times, right?
Yes.
So 9 times the revenue per customer, more revenue with fewer customers.
What an aha moment.
Yeah.
What was the actual moment or trigger when you thought, I'm going to go ahead and do this full time instead of just part time and trying to build it on the side?
It is partly linked to my desire to have my own business in the first place. So I wanted to have more control of my time. That was the primary reason. The secondary reason was I wanted to show something else to my daughters. So I wanted my daughters to grow up.
Yeah.
Not with 2 people leaving in the morning, going to the office, coming back late or tired, right?
Yes.
And I wanted to show them that, yes, it's possible to have to make a living and to work from home and to have much more.
Yeah.
So that was the motivation. And in my case, the office politics was tiring me a lot. I started to really resent those office politics. And my philosophy or my belief at the time was, let's see if I can change things from within. If I don't like where I'm working,
Yes.
yes, I could drop everything. I could leave tomorrow, but what if I try to change from within? And every Thursday I had a lunch on meeting with the upper management, with the director, their direct report. And we were working on the culture. We were working on the culture.
Okay.
And when I saw that then 2014, 2015, I was already 4 years in the job, I realized, no, Damien, you will not change it.
It's not going to change.
You can't change. You can't change the culture of the organization. Even with colleagues, it won't happen.
It really needs to come from the top down.
Exactly. That's also when I really decided, okay, I need to have an exit. I need to decide, okay, when do I leave this place?
Okay.
When will I feel confident or comfortable enough to leave the steady paycheck, not pay myself a salary because I want to take from the savings. But when will I do that? And I saved a bunch of vacation days and I was able to leave, end of July and take the month of August completely off.
Yeah. Then once you began on your own and for that first year, 2 years, what was one of the biggest challenges of being out on your own?
Yeah, the biggest challenge was, again, to get your name out there. Still to this day, I believe I made a mistake. And the mistake that I made was I never, ever promoted my side business while I was still with my employer.
Okay. Why do you think that was?
My manager, the HR manager, and the director, and maybe 1 or 2 colleagues knew that I was launching a business on the side. Even my LinkedIn profile never changed. So there was nothing on my LinkedIn profile.
I see.
And I think it was a false sense of, how do we say, when you try to to honor an agreement or something like that.
Yeah.
Right? So I put that work contract above my self-interest and the interest of my business.
That loyalty might have been the word that you were looking for.
Yes, exactly.
But they were completely non-competing, or were they not?
Absolutely. There was absolutely no reason for me not to try to promote myself.
Got it.
It was a false sense of loyalty.
Okay.
There was absolutely no pushback from management.
Okay.
There was even implicitly, there was nothing. It was purely myself.
Okay.
I constrained myself, right? I said, no, I am not going to. Yeah.
That's another valuable lesson because we can take a look at that and we've all done something. We've got our version of that and then take a look and say, okay, what other areas of my life am I doing that or still doing that? We've put ourselves in this box and these constraints and it was all our doing. Good for you for that realization. Are you a one-man show today or do you have help?
Yeah, still a one-man show. I had a VA for a few months, but the work quality,
Okay.
it was good and then it plummeted. And also the reason why I hired the VA disappeared because I decided to stop a newsletter. It was really repurposing a newsletter that I was doing into blog posts and translations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then I realized that I already pivoted my business model from consulting to training. And so my newsletter was still about attracting people for the Apple consulting side of things.
Yes. Okay.
Whereas I already had pivoted. When I realized this number of clients, revenue per client,
Yeah.
and I realized I could charge more and I could get more per client if I would go the training, going back to my roots, or providing training services rather than consulting services. But again, once you have started to do something, like in my case, it was a bi-monthly newsletter about Apple. And I had processes, I had systems, and I could crank out a newsletter in 2 languages in a couple of hours. And you do that by habit.
Yes.
And I don't want to disappoint my old clients and the people who are the subscribers on my email list. But why am I doing that when it actually brings the wrong kind of clients?
Yes. Okay. Right. So you had to let that baby go.
Yes, I had to let that go. Yeah.
Going back to that, how you had identified your ideal client, how did that come about? That wasn't through your business training. No, it wasn't through your business training because you didn't do that in the beginning. How did that come about?
If I put myself 6 years in the past, I had less than 1,000 euro in my bank account, and EasyTECH's bank account was almost zero. And actually, EasyTECH got almost bankrupt 6 years ago, right? Okay. 2018. And so luckily, all went well. A client paid an invoice that was a little bit late, and in the end, it went okay. But I was very close to losing everything. Again, I can only thank the Luxembourg government for that. There is a house of entrepreneurship here in Luxembourg. And a friend of mine who was in my BNI chapter, who is a business coach, told me, Damien, I know you have some financial issues. We are organizing a series of workshops for small businesses who are struggling financially. And so I was able to get into that program.
Okay.
She was actually facilitating all the workshops. And then I was able to have a mentor.
Yes.
And it's through those workshops and with the help of my mentor that I actually started looking at the right metrics, right? The right KPIs.
Wow.
And so we're talking about summer 2018, and then autumn 2018, that's when I started prospecting heavily into my new ideal client avatar. And it's only April 2019 that my first client came, started to trust me. I started being a subcontractor for that for a training institute here in Luxembourg.
Okay.
In June 2019. So we're talking about just before COVID. And actually, that turned out to be a good thing for me.
Yeah.
For my line of business, that's when large companies needed to quickly figure out how to get their employees
online, security, all of that. Yeah.
And so I was really at the right time and also focusing on the right type of clients.
Yes. And I bet it would have made that initial prospecting easier for you because you were stepping out with the confidence of that this is really the way to go because of that training and the mentorship and the coaching. You weren't just on your own, is what I'm saying.
No. And I didn't have any formal qualifications at the time.
Okay.
I didn't have any training qualifications. It was like my first client, they really had faith in me, right? Enough faith in me. And then afterwards, I backed it up because the clients were raving about my teachings.
Yes.
And then they wanted me to come back and not the other trader from the trade institute. They made a bet. The person, my contact person at that training institute made a bet on me. Yeah. And it was mostly French-speaking trainers. Okay. And because I worked for 18 years for an American company, very comfortable speaking in English, but also teaching English. And I knew the Excel interface better in English than in French. And I don't know if you know that, but the formulas in Excel, the functions, the names are different between the different languages.
Okay. No, I did not know that.
So it's not sum, it's not SUM in French.
Okay.
It's the French word, sum, SOMME.
Oh, okay.
And it's a different word in German.
Yeah.
And so when they hired me as a subcontractor, it was to teach for the English-speaking audience.
Okay.
And so I was able to make that my unique selling proposition. I was able to teach in English, but I was also able to teach in French if needed.
Yes.
And I had these 18 years of experience in a large corporation. So they could drop me with a big bank, a big insurance company.
Yes.
I had no issues interacting with those people. I knew what their work life was.
Yeah. It's amazing all that experience that you gain over the years from various employers or ventures, how it comes back to serve you and help you.
Yes.
How are you using AI today?
So I'm using it as a thought partner, strategy partner. So I've created, I have my co-CEO, a co-CEO, a co-CMO, co-CFO. So basically AI assistants that I have trained to know me and my business.
Using what model?
It started as a custom GPT in ChatGPT.
Okay.
Then it became a Gemini Gem, and it's still a Gemini Gem and a Claude project. And nowadays I'm mostly in Claude, the Claude desktop app.
Yeah.
But also I like, especially when I'm strategizing, I like or brainstorming. I like having multiple models and putting the same prompt with different models and then compare and contrast and take from one and from the other. So a lot of strategy. I'm using also AI a lot now to help me with the curriculum development. So I've created a curriculum developer assistant that I have trained on my way of teaching. It also has actual exercises that I do, and it knows a lot of the way I teach and how I structure my presentations, my PowerPoint slides or my keynote presentations.
And when you say that you've trained it in the way you teach, that's because you've been uploading your materials and saying,
yes, exactly.
Here's what I do. Okay.
And now I'm able to spin off a new training program very quickly with the slides, with the trainer, the training guide for the trainer, the exercises.
That trainer being you, correct?
Yeah, the trainer being me.
Okay.
I had one client that up to last year was only offering or giving two training sessions.
Okay.
And it was the same training, was a smartphone security training in French and in English. And this year I went from these two to 20 sessions. So I 10x'd the revenue from that client simply by offering more different training courses. And because I gave that curriculum developer assistant the template, when somebody submits a new training proposal, my assistant is able to help me fill that template very quickly.
Yes, your AI assistant, yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we brainstorm different training topics. And then once I have fleshed out really the goal, the main person for whom the training is best suited for and stuff like that.
Right.
Then I'm able to spin that out, give the proposal as soon as I get a green light to prepare the actual training. Also, Claude is very good with PowerPoint and Excel and Word. Exceptional at creating those kind of assets. Not 100%.
No.
I still need to rework a few things afterwards.
Yes.
But it speeds up the process so much. It's incredible.
Yeah. And I think it's only started.
Yeah.
We're still in the infancy. What's the best way for our listeners to connect with you, Damien?
They can find me on LinkedIn if they search for my first name, last name. My parents had very good SEO for me.
We'll drop that link in the show notes regardless.
Yes. But if among the audience you are a solopreneur or a side hustler, cannot imagine using anything else than an Apple computer, a Mac,
okay,
then you can visit macpreneur.com/tips, and you will get really individualized tips on how to better use your computer, your Mac. And I say truly individualized because there is an AI step at the end. So it's a quiz, right?
Oh, fun.
Everybody takes the same quiz. But the combination of questions, it's thousands of possible combinations for the answers.
Okay.
And it's ChatGPT that analyzes the responses, and given a template that I gave it, obviously,
yes,
it will then provide some actual individual recommendations.
Okay, we're going to have you back for a episode on just how to do that, what you just said. What's your best tip? I'll definitely put that link in the show notes as well. What's your best tip to inspire others to start or grow their side hustle dream?
My best tip is list 5 to 10 people in your family, in your surroundings, in your acquaintances, and ask yourself, how could those people help me? How could they help me going further? Right? It could be asking for feedback or It could be asking for help with strategies. I remember when my daughters were little, and after school, they would go in an after school care. I would ask the caretaker, so I'm thinking of starting a business. This is how I think about calling it. And I gave them 3 names. Which one makes the most sense? And so I would actually ask everybody that I met, what would be the best name for my company? And it became EasyTECH because most of the people they understood what more implicitly what EasyTECH meant.
Nice. And they're like, I want that.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Damien, for sharing your story. I found it very inspirational that someone can build up a side hustle despite the challenges that you shared. And with the right information and asking the right questions, really build it into something. And of course, thank you so much for being today's Side Hustle Hero.
Yeah, thank you for having me, John.
Before you go, here are 3 things from Damien's story worth checking in your own side hustle. 1, look at your revenue per customer, not just your total revenue or client count. You might be surprised at who's actually worth your time monetarily and who isn't. It may be the case of that 80-20 rule at play. 2, ask yourself, what are you still doing out of habit, not results? Damien kept his newsletter going for years after it stopped bringing him in the right clients, simply because he had always done it, and he didn't want to disappoint his subscribers. But he had already pivoted to a different client avatar. What's your version of that? And 3, start talking about what you're building, at least with your personal network of friends and family. Damien's biggest regret was staying quiet about his business, even with people who could have helped him. If you're currently employed, just be sure to check your contract or company policy first. What worked for Damien and his employer won't be true everywhere. Well, that's a wrap for today. If our chats are sparking your entrepreneurial spirit and providing valuable insights, consider showing your support by visiting sidehustlehero.com/support. That's where you can shoot me a virtual coffee. It's a real thing and a fun way to give the show a caffeinated thumbs up. Thank you so much. In the episode description, you'll find links to connect with Damien, as well as a link to the full show notes, which lives at our website, sidehustlehero.com. If you're enjoying what you're seeing in this podcast, it would be so appreciated if you would take a moment and add your comment, share the episode, and please subscribe. It'll let others know that there's valuable content here to help them start and grow their side hustle. Thanks for watching, and hustle on.